In the aftermath of the Civil War, America raced to bind its vast territories with iron rails. One man, Jay Cooke, stood at the center of this frenzy, wielding bonds like magic tickets to wealth. But when his grandest gamble on the Northern Pacific Railroad collapsed, it didn't just ruin him. It froze Wall Street, shuttered banks, and plunged the nation into a depression that lasted years. This is the story of how one banker's dream derailed an economy. Imagine a single bankruptcy so devastating it closed the New York Stock Exchange for 10 days. That's exactly what happened in September 1873 when the mighty house of Jay Cooke and Company crumbled. But this wasn't just a Wall Street panic. It was the spark that ignited a global depression, leaving millions jobless and reshaping American finance forever. How did a railroad bond salesman bring the country to its knees? During the Civil War, Jay Cooke became a national hero by selling Union bonds directly to ordinary citizens, raising billions. His patriotic appeals and vast network of agents turned him into the most famous financier in America. After the war, he sought a new frontier worthy of his talents, and he found it in the unfinished Northern Pacific Railroad, a transcontinental line promising to open the Northwest. The Northern Pacific was chartered to connect Lake Superior to Puget Sound, traversing some of the most rugged and remote territory in the country. Cooke secured the rights to sell its bonds, envisioning a second transcontinental empire. He poured his own fortune into the venture, believing that settlers and commerce would follow the rails. But the land was harsh, costs soared, and investors grew wary. Cooke marketed Northern Pacific bonds with the same fervor he'd used for war bonds, painting vivid pictures of fertile valleys and thriving cities. He enlisted newspapers, clergy, and politicians to spread the message. For a time, money flowed in, but the railroad's insatiable appetite for capital outpaced even Cooke's legendary salesmanship. Behind the scenes, his firm was dangerously overextended. By 1873, warning signs abounded. European investors, spooked by political instability and overbuilding, began pulling back. Railroad construction had far outstripped actual demand, and many lines were barely profitable. Cooke's own agents struggled to sell bonds, and the firm resorted to borrowing short-term to cover long-term obligations. The house of cards was trembling. On September 18, 1873, Jay Cooke and Company announced it could not meet its obligations. The news hit Wall Street like a thunderclap. Banks that had lent heavily to Cooke and other railroads faced immediate runs. The stock exchange, overwhelmed by sell orders and chaos, shut its doors for the first time in history. The panic spread from New York to every corner of the nation. Banks suspended specie payments, refusing to exchange paper money for gold. Depositors mobbed institutions, only to find doors locked. The credit that fueled America's post-war boom evaporated overnight. Businesses couldn't meet payrolls, factories closed, and railroads defaulted on their debts. The interconnectedness of finance meant that Cooke's failure cascaded through the entire economy. The Panic of 1873 ushered in what became known as the Long Depression, a grinding economic contraction that lasted until 1879. Unemployment soared to over 14%, wages collapsed, and homelessness spread. Strikes and labor unrest erupted as workers demanded relief. The suffering was widespread, and the optimism of the post-Civil War era gave way to bitter disillusionment. Cooke's downfall teaches timeless lessons: the danger of excessive leverage, the peril of speculative manias, and the fragility of confidence. When one major player fails, interconnected systems can seize up. Diversification, skepticism of hype, and understanding liquidity risk are as crucial today as they were in 1873. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Jay Cooke's gamble on the Northern Pacific was a bet on America's future that came due too soon. The Panic of 1873 revealed the dark side of rapid industrialization and unregulated finance. Though Cooke eventually repaid his debts and rebuilt a modest fortune, the depression he triggered left scars on the nation's psyche. It stands as a stark reminder that even the mightiest titans can fall, and when they do, the ground shakes for everyone. If you found this journey through financial history compelling, subscribe and hit the bell for more stories of boom and bust. Share this video with someone who thinks markets only go up. And remember, the past isn't just prologue, it's a playbook. Thanks for watching and invest wisely.